Well, let's cross to Kyiv and speak to our correspondent Emmanuelle Chaze. Bring us up to date with what's been happening. I know you've heard the explosions across the city.
Absolutely, Gavin. We've heard the explosions at around 10 a.m. this morning in Kyiv. At time, there was an alert ongoing, but here in the capital, people tend to get on with their lives. Not everybody is taking shelter. People have to go to work. They're trying to try and continue having a normal life despite being in a country at war. And sometimes it's quite easy here in Kyiv to lose the sense of danger because we're not on the front line, because such attacks don't happen on a daily basis. There are air raid alerts literally on a daily basis, but we don't have explosions every single day here. And this is why this morning, when the explosions occurred, this surprised a lot of people who were going into work, who were outside at the moment. I myself was outside on the way to report on another topic when I heard missiles and when I saw air defense in action over the capital. And that is a reminder that there's really nowhere safe here in Ukraine, and also that Russia continues daily to shell indiscriminately on civilian infrastructures. You've mentioned this children's hospital upon which debris of a missile that was downed by air defense fell. We do not have information at the moment as to casualties, as to whether or not people were injured there, but that is the daily danger, not only here in Kyiv, but also elsewhere in the country.
Well, this weekend, it'll be 2 months since we heard that announcement from President Zelensky that the counter-offensive had begun. We're talking about small gains. I know we've spoken to you before, talk about the bulk of the forces still hasn't been deployed, and yet we're now seeing Russia saying it's making advances, Ukraine evacuating thousands of civilians in the Kharkiv region.
Yes, indeed. And it's also related to the daily shelling over the country. This part of the country, the Kharkiv region that had been under Russian occupation for over 6 months, had been liberated back in September by Ukrainian forces. However, Russia has increased the pressure on the Ukrainian army in the region, and it is constantly shelling the area in around Kupiansk and nearby towns, nearby communities. And this is why the Ukrainian government urges its citizens there to evacuate at least to the nearest big city, which is Kharkiv. The Ukrainian government wants children, wants elderly people, wants people with disability to seek shelter elsewhere. But the problem is that the people who are asked to evacuate, if they haven't already done so, it's often because they can't, because they are they find it physically difficult to be moved. I'm thinking about the elderly, I'm thinking about people being sick, and this is why evacuations are happening at the moment, because Kupiansk is once again situated on the front line after a few months of relative respite. So there's a sense of urgency in the Kharkiv region that we hadn't seen for months, that is coming back as the Russian Defense Ministry says that it beefed up the Russian positions there, and the pressure increases on the Ukrainian army there.
Emmanuelle, good to talk to you, and stay safe. It's another missile attack down in Kyiv today. He's our correspondent in Ukraine.